Eclipse, one of the truly great thoroughbreds in the history of the turf. He was unbeaten in 18 starts. He became such a major influence as a sire that the majority of today's modern thoroughbreds trace their descent from him. His story is truly a remarkable one.
He was easily the greatest racehorse of his time. He was never beaten, but he was the undisputed champion of his time, and he was a phenomenally successful stallion.
Well, he was a small chestnut horse of enormous brilliance. If I remember rightly, I don't think he was ever beaten. They used to run 4 miles in those days too, and they used to run in heats. So they must have been hardy stayers. And they used spurs, sharp spurs, as well as the whip.
Eclipse was bred by King George II's son, the Duke of Cumberland, at his magnificent stud, Cranbourne Lodge. Named after the great eclipse that occurred on the same day of his birth, the 1st of April, 1764, the chestnut colt was considered large and ungainly by Cumberland. Cumberland never knew the potential of his colt Eclipse because he died just a year later. Leaving no heir, the stud was sold. Advertised for sale in the London papers by one Richard Tattersall, the horses were sold by auction. Enthusiastic buyers arrived so early that most of the lots had been sold by the time a certain William Wildman arrived. Demanding the sale be restarted, he bought the colt Eclipse for 75 guineas. Headstrong and with a fiery temper, Eclipse proved difficult to master and rough riders were hired to break him. They rode him through thick scrub and forest for days on end and would take him on poaching expeditions at night. He was so unmanageable that Wildman was close to gelding him, but fortunately gave him plenty of time to develop and didn't race him until he was 5. Before his first race on the 3rd of May, 1769, he had a secret gallop on Banstead Downs. Word got out and touts from London journeyed to get a first glimpse of Eclipse. They arrived too late and only found an old lady who told them she'd just seen a horse with a white leg running away at a monstrous rate and another horse behind trying to run after it, but she was sure he would never catch the white-legged horse if he ran to the world's end. Eclipse was duly given odds of 4 to 1 on, unattractive especially to an Irish adventurer called Dennis O'Kelly. O'Kelly, however, made his famous bet that he could place the horses in the race correctly. He had large sums of money on at evens that the result would be Eclipse first, the rest nowhere, nowhere being more than 240 yards behind. Eclipse did win by a distance, and with these first winnings, O'Kelly bought a half share in Eclipse from Wildman for 650 guineas. Trained from the stables next to Epsom Racecourse, Eclipse was so uncontrollable he would run away as soon as the race started. No one would bet against him. They only bet on how far he'd win by. Ascot, Winchester, Salisbury, Canterbury, Lewis, Lichfield, Eclipse won wherever he went, but he was running out of opposition. Certain races were restricted to members of the Jockey Club, which did not include Wildman or O'Kelly, thereby casting doubt that Eclipse was a true champion. However, a match was arranged with the undefeated horse Bucephalus. The race took place at Newmarket, and Bucephalus stayed with him for the first 2.5 miles. Then Eclipse broke away and won with effortless ease. Bucephalus never won another race. Immediately after the race, Wildman sold his half share to O'Kelly for 1,100 guineas. Eclipse raced for only 2 seasons and won 11 King's Plates among his 18 wins. By the end of his 2nd season, no one wanted to race their horses against him. O'Kelly had no choice but to send Eclipse to stud. Even at 50 guineas a mare, which was a fortune for covering in those days, people were queuing up to send their mares to him. Within 23 years, the offspring of Eclipse produced 344 winners and won £160,000 prize money, not including private wages and sales. Towards the end of his stud career, Eclipse was so unsound in his feet that he travelled everywhere by horse-drawn wagon, one of the first vehicles of its kind. On the 28th of February, 1789, Eclipse died of colic.
His body was dissected by Professor Lavelle, and he found his heart weighed 14 pounds, which is almost double a normal horse's heart, which may account for some of the reason why he was such an exceptional horse. The skeleton actually now of Eclipse is to be found in the Horse Racing Museum in Newmarket.
Eclipse was a remarkable horse, and today, 2 centuries later, his influence is still being felt.
95% or more of all the stallions at stud, all the thoroughbred stallions at stud in the world, descend from Eclipse. And it's very difficult to find a racehorse who isn't descended from him several times over.
Now, 3.5 furlongs to go, and it's still Great Nephew over on the far rails there. Fleet close up behind on the rail. Jolly Jet is well there. Sodium coming through in the centre of the field now. Chinwag and Kedge trying to come up on the outside. Busted making good progress on the inside. 2.5 furlongs to go, and it's Great Nephew from Fleet, Jolly Jet, Busted, Sodium and Chinwag. With a furlong and a half to go, it's still Great Nephew from Fleet, and now Busted is coming up there. And as they come up to the final furlong, it's Great Nephew and Busted from Fleet, and those three have drawn right away from Jolly Jet and Appiana. Inside the last furlong now, and it's Busted coming on to win the race. With 100 yards to go, it's Busted from Great Nephew, Fleet and Appiana. 25 yards to go, and it's Busted clear. At the post, Busted is the winner. Great Nephew second, and a very close thing for third place between Appiana in Fleet. Furlong and a half to go, it's still Nashwan from Royal Palace, and now Saraiva's moving up on the outside. It's under a furlong to go now, only 150 yards to go, and Royal Palace is coming up to challenge Nashwan, and Saraiva's just getting into top gear, but I don't think he's going to get up there. It's a very close thing indeed, as they come up to the line. It's a desperate thing there between Royal Palace and Nashwan with Saraiva in third.
Part of Eclipse folklore is the defeat of two great fillies who just couldn't get a run at a crucial stage. In 1969, it was the mighty Park Top and Jeff Lewis, for whom the gap just wouldn't come.
Park Top has been switched to the outside, but she's still got a lot to do. With 100 yards to go, it's Wolverhollow, ridden by Lester Pickett, and Park Top coming up to make a challenge on this side, but Wolverhollow's won it all right. At the post, it's Wolverhollow from Park Top. A little bit more room. With 2 furlongs to go, it's Connaught, with Carabas now having to be shaken up. It's going to be a real race, this. Connaught keeping up the gallop with a mile and a half to go. Carabas has still got all of a length to make up, and Lester Pickett's having to work really hard, and I think Connaught looks like staying there. Inside the last furlong now, Connaught out in front there, and he's going to stay there. Carabas is making no impression, nor in third place. 100 yards to go, and Connaught keeping up the gallop. Carabas no chance at all. At the post, Connaught is the winner. Carabas second, and Nor is third. Connaught, Carabas, and Nor. They're off. Welsh Passion very fast out, and he is the first to lead, chased by K. Bracho and Bright Beam, the two pacemakers, and they're now at full split to get up and to pass Welsh Passion, with Bright Beam winning the race so far. Bright Beam takes it up now after a furlong and a half. Welsh Passion second, K. Bracho third, Milreef fourth, then Caro, and Quayside just behind Caro at the back of the field. 1 mile to go. Bright Beam setting a scorching gallop to Welsh Pageant second, K. Bracho third, Milreef fourth, and then Caro just ahead of Quayside, just behind Milreef. 7 furlongs to go, and no change in the order amongst the leaders. Bright Beam still stretching out in front. K. Bracho now showing a fraction in front of Welsh Pageant, very little between those two, second and third. Milreef still a close fourth, with Caro and Quayside right on his tail. Coming towards the turn at the far end, 5.5 furlongs still to go. Bright Beam and K. Bracho almost together now, with Welsh Pageant going very easily in third place. A length and a half behind that comes Milreef fourth, with Caro at his girths, and Quayside just last of the 6th. Coming round the final turn now, a little over half a mile still to go. Bright Beam and K. Bracho from Welsh Pageant. Milreef moving up close to Welsh Pageant now, with Caro right on his girths too, and Quayside last as they turn into the straight. 3.5 furlongs to go now, mostly uphill. And Bright Beam and K. Bracho are still leading it. Welsh Pageant is close in behind them on the inside. Milreef moving smoothly up on the outside of the field together with Caro. 2.5 furlongs to go, and Milreef has come through to take it up, with Caro pressing him on this side. As they pass the 2 furlong marker, it's Milreef and Caro coming away, with Quayside in third place, followed by Welsh Pageant. The 2 pacemakers have dropped out of it, and with a furlong and a half to go, it's Milreef from Caro. Milreef definitely clear of Caro, with just over a furlong to go. A long way back in third place, Quayside, followed by Welsh Pageant. 150 yards to go, and it's Bill Reef coming away in magnificent style. Well clear of Caro in second place. A good race for third place as they come up to the line. Bill Reef the winner, Caro second.
And Alonso a little slowly out of the gate. It's Charles out in front, setting the pace to Goldrad second. Brigadier Gerard occupying the rails position in third. And the last three at this point are Home Guard, Alonso, and finally Lord David. They've covered just about a furlong and a half now, and it's Charles still who jumped out first. Out in front, Brigadier Gerard has now been taken up into second. Goldrad on the outside shows in third. Then comes the Irish challenger Home Guard in fourth, and the last two, 5 and 6, are Alonso and finally Lord David. They've almost covered 3 furlongs now, with all 6 runners very closely bunched together, still headed by Charles, who continues to make the running from Brigadier Gerard 2, Goldrad 3, Home Guard 4, Alonso 5, and Lord David 6 and last. Inside the final 7.5 furlongs now, with the French-bred Charles continuing to make it from the champion Brigadier Gerard in second. Then comes Goldrad third, and the last 3 still Home Guard, Alonso, and Lord David. Now they're racing towards the last 3/4 of a mile of the Eclipse, and as they do so, it's still Charles from Brigadier Gerard and Goldrad. The order, in fact, virtually unchanged, except now that Alonso's dropped back last as Lord David moves up to 5th. Now, this is the halfway point in this 85th running of the Eclipse, and Charles continues to show in front with that chevron on the jacket and the white cap. Goldrad in second, Brigadier Gerard very close up in third as they swing into the straight now with half a mile left. Charles nearest the rails. Goldrad is being brought up the centre of the course. Brigadier Gerard is running between these two now. Lord David making headway on the outside. With 3 furlongs left, the last 2 are Home Guard and Alonso. 2.5 furlongs left, and now Brigadier Gerard ranges up almost level with Charles. Goldrad coming with those two. Lord David very close now, 1/4 of a mile out, and Brigadier Gerard shows in front, the favourite in the lead now. Goldrad is just in second, and now Lester Piggott looking quite dangerous on Home Guard. 1.5 furlongs to go, and it's Brigadier Gerard with his tongue hanging out now, but in front still as Lester Piggott tries to get Home Guard up close. Goldrad, in fact, just hanging on to a second, but it's Brigadier Gerard now by 2 lengths as they strike the final half furlong up the Sandown Hill now. Brigadier Gerard by 2 lengths. Goldrad tugging on game in second. He's not going to catch it. This is the 14th winner of his lifetime for Brigadier Gerard. Goldrad is second. Then came coming now into the straight, 3 furlongs to run, and it's Scottish Rifle, nose banded on the rails from the Irish challenger Bog Road in second. Then comes Moulton making ground on the outside, the blinkered runner. Toujours Prey is not out of it yet. Sun Prince trying to come on the inside. They've got 2 furlongs to run, and it's close. It's Scottish Rifle still by a length, but Toujours Prey is coming with a tremendous run. Yves Saint Martin, Moulton is there too. Sharp Edge, the one who's last now is Bog Road at the distance, and it's just Scottish Rifle, but only just from Moulton, the outsider in second. Toujours Prey is third. Then comes Sun Prince. This is a tremendous race, one of the most exciting eclipses of all time. It's Scottish Rifle just from Moulton, Sun Prince, and Toujours Prey at the line. It is Scottish Rifle the winner. A photograph a second between Moulton and Sun Prince. In 4th place, Toujours Prey. Then in 5th is Bog Road, and 6th and last comes the 3-year-old, the only 3-year-old in the race, the ultimate favourite. Coming to the 3 furlong pole, and it's Ace of Aces for France from Coup de Feu, this game horse. Czar, 4th in the Derby last year, is on the rails and coming strongly. Giacometti is continuing his run, and here comes Lester Piggott on the Irishman, Hail the Parrot. 1/4 of a mile to go, and Coup de Feu now gets his head in front. It's Coup de Feu in the lead in the Eclipse. Czar is going after him in second. Giacometti comes under pressure. I don't think he's going to win. Coming towards the distance, and it's Coup de Feu from Czar. Czar's the danger now. It's Coup de Feu going on by 2 lengths from Czar. Mount Hagen is making late progress, but he's left it far too late into the final half furlong, and it's Coup de Feu and Pat Edry. What a turn-up this is going to be. They surely can't catch him now. Coup de Feu is going to win the Eclipse, and coming to the line, it's Coup de Feu, the easy winner. Czar is second. Mansfeld, Nobiliary, and Leicester hasn't moved a muscle yet. It's Mansfeld, though, who comes under pressure. Marcello Andriucci from Nobiliary. Then comes Taros inside the last 1/4 of a mile. Sapenfra making a run. So is Reimer. So is Dominion. Belnoble is last. Coming towards the closing stages, Taros now takes up the running. Being pressed by Star Appeal, Nobiliary and Mansfeld. Inside the last furlong, and it's Star Appeal and Taros now from Nobiliary. Then comes Royal Manacle, but racing for the line. It's going to be won by the German horse. It's Star Appeal and Greville Starkey clear. Racing to the post, it's Star Appeal from Taros and Royal Manacle at the line. It is Star Appeal the winner, Taros, Royal Manacle, then Nobiliary. Now towards the 2.5 furlong from home point, and it's Anne's Pretender out in front from Arapaho, the pacemaker hanging on to Ali and
second. Trepan being produced by Philippe Paquet now, and Wallow with Franco Dettori on the outside. A quarter of a mile to go, and it's an open race with Ants Pretender, Trepan, Radetzky and Wallow almost in line, these four from Arapaho. Chillicite's got no chance, nor has Castillo, and Relkino is last. Coming to the last furlong and a half, and Trepan bursts clear. Ants Pretender is beaten. It's Trepan with Wallow the only danger now. Radetzky back in third, a half a furlong to go. And this looks like a win for France. It's Trepan and Philippe Paquet from Wallow, the 2,000 guineas winner. Wallow's not going to win. The Eclipse is going for France. It's Trepan the winner.
And Freeze the Secret. They hit the 3 furlong from home marker, and it's Artes still the lead from Lucky Wendy. And Artes is going well in the lead because Lucky Wendy's under pressure in second place. They have just over a quarter of a mile still to go. And the Hope of Ireland, Artes in the lead. Lucky Wendy is second. They're going clear. The French challenger now moving to third. That's Arctic Turn. They have a furlong and a half still to go. Artes still at the head of affairs from Lucky Wendy. Arctic Turn now in third place. Freeze the Secret fourth. And so they hit the final furlong. It's Artes and Lucky Wendy trying hard to get on turn. But I don't think he's going to do it. But Artes is not finding much more. But Artes has still got the advantage to come up towards the line. Artes about 2 lengths from Lucky Wendy. They have 25 yards to go. And Artes wins the Joe Cora Eclipse Stakes from Lucky Wendy.
Continues in the lead as Gunnaby now comes up to dispute second with a long-time second, Jellaby. Then comes Stradovinsky starting a really strong-looking forward move. Balmerino trying to get on terms too. Moonsami looks beaten. Super Concord, the Frenchman, can find nothing at all at the moment. He's last of all. And it's Radetzky hanging on, but Gunnaby coming at him now, Stradovinsky. But watch Balmerino on the extreme outside, just out of your picture now, as Gunnaby comes to tackle Radetzky over on the far side. Stradovinsky and Balmerino, these are the first three now. Into the final half furlong, and it's Gunnaby the favourite, who struck the front now from Balmerino, Radetzky and Stradovinsky. Super Concord's running on well, but Gunnaby's going to get it. Coming to the line, Gunnaby is the winner. Balmerino just second, Radetzky is third. Then Stradovinsky forward, Moonsami 5. Then came Super Concord, followed it by all in and now all out of the stalls, with 10 furlongs to travel in the Eclipse. And the first to show ahead is Crimson Bow. It's Crimson Bow setting a scorching pace to the 1 filly in the field. Swiss Maid, she shows second. In third for France is Northern Baby, 4 Borzoi, 5 for Ireland, Dickens Hill, 6 is Effulgence, and 7th and last, the ex-Italian Code Stone. They've already almost covered a quarter of a mile. And it's Crimson Bow, who didn't take part in the parade. He leads from Swiss Maid 2, Northern Baby still 3. Then Borzoi 4, Dickens Hill 5, Effulgence 6, and Stone still the whipper in, last of the 7 as they continue their journey halfway down the far straight. And Crimson Bow's increased his lead. He's a good 3 lengths clear now of Swiss Maid remaining second. Still showing third is Northern Baby. That one though being sent up by Philippe Paquet now to take over second place from Swiss Maid. Then comes Dickens Hill, who's making ground from the rear. The last 3 now are Borzoi, Effulgence, and finally still Stone. Just about 6 furlongs to go now as they swing right-handed out of the back straight. And Jeff Baxter keeps Crimson Bow up to his work. He leads still in the Eclipse from Northern Baby second, then Dickens Hill and Swiss Maid together in third and fourth. 5 is still Borzoi, 6 Effulgence. And now they come to halfway in the Coral Eclipse Stakes and start swinging for home now, where Crimson Bow continues to lead from Northern Baby second. Then comes Dickens Hill and Swiss Maid, who's lost her pitch on the inside. Borzoi making good ground towards the outside. Swiss Maid is going backwards really fast now, and she's now last of all. She's not wanting to know about it here today. Coming to the last 2.5, and it's Crimson Bow being pressed now by the foreign raiders, Northern Baby and Dickens Hill. Then comes Borzoi. Stone making good ground on the inside, then Effulgence. Swiss Maid is going to finish last of all, running to the final furlong and a half. And here on the outside comes Dickens Hill for Ireland. It looks like an Irish win as Dickens Hill comes through to take over from Crimson Bow. Then Northern Baby and Stone inside the final half furlong in the 1979 Eclipse Stakes. And for Ireland, it's Dickens Hill from Crimson Bow. Northern Baby at the line. Dickens Hill the winner. Crimson Bow is second. Northern Baby third. Stone is fourth. 5 Borzoi, 6 Effulgence, and still to pass the line. She's coming in at a hand canter. Swiss Maid, the greatest disappointment. The last to be installed for the Eclipse Stakes, the richest ever Eclipse. And that looks as though they're all installed. The starter, Dick Smalley, has the flag up, and away they go. 10 furlongs is the journey, and the first to break is in fact Gregorian. Gregorian on the near side goes on to make the running, followed by Sea Chimes in second place, Ella Manamu settling down in third, then Tony Sheets, pair, Crackerval and Lars Fandango together, and bringing up the rear of the field at the moment is Hello Gorgeous. They've covered just over a furlong, and Gregorian is making the running from Sea Chimes over on the far side in second place. A close third
is Crackerval. Then 4 Last Fandango, 5 Elamanamu, and still last of the sextet is Hello Gorgeous. After a quarter of a mile, and the pace a pretty quick one, the field's still well grouped together, and it's the 100 to 30 shot, the lone Irish challenger, Gregorian, who makes it still. From similarly priced Sea Chimes in second. After these two, the Tony Sheet pair together, Crackerval and Last Fandango, closely followed by Elamanamu, and still at the back of the field, the 3-year-old Hello Gorgeous. They're now starting to make the turn out of the back straight with Gregorian, who's made virtually all the running so far, continuing in the van, but Sea Chimes is only about half a length or so behind in second place. Then Elamanamu now has gone up into third in front of Last Fandango and Crackerval on the rails, and Joe Mercer beginning to ask a question now with Hello Gorgeous, who is still last. Turning for home now as they come well past halfway in the Eclipse, and Gregorian, who's made it all so far, has been asked to quicken, and he's doing so, and he's poached a leader some 2 to 3 lengths over. Sea Chimes at the 3-furlong pole with Crackerval in third, Elamanamu, and here comes Hello Gorgeous as Last Fandango weakens out on the outside. He's just about last of all at the moment, but it's Gregorian as they come towards the final quarter of a mile. Gregorian with Elamanamu now in a hot pursuit in second place. Sea Chimes running on again strongly in third, and Hello Gorgeous, and Elamanamu now level with Gregorian as they approach the final furlong, and Elamanamu now goes on into the lead from Gregorian. Hello Gorgeous looking to well danger in third, Sea Chimes in fourth, then comes Crackerval, but Gregorian is fighting back over on the far side. Elamanamu still has the advantage, but only just from in second place. Hello Gorgeous, Gregorian's going to be third, running up towards the line. Elamanamu it is, at the most. Elamanamu wins the Eclipse Stakes. Hello Gorgeous second, Gregorian third, Sea Chimes fourth, Crackerval is fifth, and sixth and last is Last Fandango.
Master Willie still galloping strongly. VL is the challenger on the stand side, but there's a length in it now as they come to the last furlong. Master Willie by a length from VL, and coming strongly on the far side is Hard Fought. Dropping back is Last Fandango. They're coming now to the last furlong, and it is still Master Willie from on the stand side VL, but Master Willie is holding them all at the moment. Coming very strongly is Hard Fought. If he can get through, Master Willie, Hard Fought gets into second place. That's as far as he gets. Master Willie wins it.
Master Willie winning from pillar to post in the...
And they're on their way with Silver Season, the early leader in the early stages, from Colour Glow. Then comes Lobkowitz. So it's stable companion Silver Season and Lobkowitz leading. From Colour Glow in third, and then Rockamador, and then Kind of Hush, and then Peacetime, then Yaza Man and Prima Voce and Telephone Man. Silver Season leading. They're quite closely grouped. They've run 2 furlongs Silver Season. From Colour Glow now it goes into second place. Lobkowitz is third. Telephone Man is 4 and Rockamador 5. Then comes Kind of Hush and Yaza Man, and behind him Peacetime, and the back marker at this stage is Prima Voce. About 8 lengths between the first and last, and the first is Silver Season, the last is Prima Voce. It's Silver Season in the lead, from in second place Colour Glow, then Lobkowitz and Telephone Man. Then comes Rockamador and Kind of Hush and Yaza Man and Peacetime, and finally Prima Voce. Little change in that order as they continue their journey down the far side. Silver Season, Brian Rouse, Greville Starkey on Colour Glow. These ahead of Lobkowitz in third. Telephone Man showing signs of distress already as they begin to turn out of the back straight with about 5 furlongs left to race. At the halfway stage and in the Coral Eclipse, with Silver Season and Colour Glow disputing it from Lobkowitz in third. Then comes Kind of Hush in fourth place, and on the outside of him, Telephone Man. Behind Telephone Man is Yaza Man, and on the inside of Yaza Man comes Rockamador, then comes Peacetime in the back marker with Prima Voce. Turning into the home straight, and Colour Glow now. Greville Starkey takes up the advantage from Silver Season. Lobkowitz is coming in third place. Telephone Man gets a reminder. Peacetime towards the right of the picture, and Pat Heddery begin to pick up ground. Just over 2 furlongs to go. Colour Glow, the 4-year-old, in the lead from Silver Season and Lobkowitz. Then Peacetime and Pat Heddery getting ever closer. 2.5 furlongs to go in the Coral Eclipse, and Colour Glow has the advantage from Lobkowitz in second place. Peacetime is third. Prima Voce is making up ground down the centre of the track. Yaza Man, the French challenger, is beaten. Just over a furlong to go, and it's Colour Glow in the lead from Lobkowitz and Peacetime. Colour Glow, Lobkowitz, Peacetime, Prima Voce, Telephone Man. Colour Glow in the lead inside the final furlong. Colour Glow holding off the challenges of Lobkowitz and Peacetime. Coming well inside the final half furlong. Colour Glow has the advantage. Beginning to draw away now from Lobkowitz as they come up towards the line. Colour Glow's going to win the Coral Eclipse easily. Coming up towards the line. Colour Glow's going to win it at the line. Colour Glow the winner. Lobkowitz is second. A very fast run by Rockamador, who
in the Eclipse Stakes, we got the muddle of the year. A ridiculously slow gallop, Stanera, Time Charter and Ptolomeo all outmanoeuvred by Pat Heddery's Ride of the Year on Salford.
Prima Voce trying to get on terms with Salford towards the outside. They come now to the final 3 furlongs. Lafontaine continuing to lead. Ptolomeo has come into second ahead of Lobkowitz. Guns of Navarone on the rails. Muscatite on the rails trying to get through. So too is Stanera in the centre. Salford is making headway on the outside.
Yeah, he did it well, and there were some good horses in the race, you know. Stanera, you had Ptolomeo, won the Budweiser. You know, he put up a good performance on that day.
And it's Salford with the advantage. Salford leads towards the stand side from Ptolomeo. Then comes Muscatite making headway. Going for the line, it's Salford who leads. Muscatite finishing fast. Salford and Ptolomeo and Muscatite are the 3.
This showed just how marvellous Pat Eddery can be. He seized the initiative early in the straight. They hadn't gone very fast. Ptolomeo was there, but Pat came with Salford, a great big horse, held him together. The others all getting in a bit of a muddle. Time Charter has come outside, but it's really been too late. Sanera is there, but not at her absolute best. Muscatite hasn't got much room at all in the red, and Guns of Navarone almost fell over there as he tried to get room. But now Pat's holding this great big colt together, drives him on. Ptolomeo's on the rail, trying to get back at him, but Salford's in charge. Muscatite coming very late on the scene. Stanera coming too. Time Charter out behind. But on the day, you've got to get there first, and that's what Salford did with Pat Eddery.
First, Salford. Second, Muscatite. Third, Ptolomeo. They're all in and they're all out. We expect Society Boy with a black cap to go into the lead, being driven into the lead by Philip Waldron, and Society Boy goes on. Society Boy from Wassell and Sadler's Wells, and then comes Crystal Glitters and Morcon, Ptolomeo, Time Charter, Cormorant Wood and Miramar Reef, the back marker. Society Boy by 3 lengths to Wassell in second by a length, then to Sadler's Wells third, Morcon is 4, Crystal Glitters 5, Ptolomeo 6, Time Charter 7. Behind Time Charter comes Cormorant Wood and the back marker is Miramar Reef. Society Boy doing a brilliant pace-making job. 5 clear now from Wassell in second, then Sadler's Wells and Morcon on the inner, and then Crystal Glitters and Ptolomeo, then Time Charter on the inside, tracked by Cormorant Wood and Miramar Reef. Society Boy still leads. His leading margin, foreshortened by our head on camera, leads. You can see just how far he is clear. Wassell is second, then Sadler's Wells third, followed then in 4th place by Morcon. Behind Morcon races Ptolomeo and Crystal Glitters. Time Charter on the inside, may not to get the closed of runs, but I'm sure Joe knows what he's doing. Then comes Cormorant Wood and the back marker is Miramar Reef. It's Society Boy who's a long way clear, past halfway in the Coral Eclipse, lining up for home. Crystal Glitters running a bit wide, so too is Cormorant Wood, but it's Society Boy still clear from in second place Wassell. Then comes Sadler's Wells, the 3-year-old, followed by Crystal Glitters, Morcon, Willie Carson pumping away, and behind them travelling sweetly is Time Charter as we close in on the chasing group. It's with 2 to go. It's still Society Boy clear though. Society Boy clear from Sadler's Wells and Crystal Glitters and Wassell and Morcon and Time Charter and Cormorant Wood and Ptolomeo and Miramar Reef. A furlong and a half to go. Society Boy from Sadler's Wells. Here on the outside comes Crystal Glitters. Time Charter coming with a run through on the inside. Sadler's Wells strikes the front inside the final furlong. Here comes Time Charter in second place. Sadler's Wells, Time Charter, Morgan, Crystal Glitters and Miramar Reef. Up towards the line, it's Sadler's Wells holding off the strong late finish of Time Charter. Sadler's Wells, Time Charter, Morcon. Then came Crystal Glitters, Miramar Reef, and behind these Cormorant Wood, Ptolomeo, Wassell and Society Boy, who led for so long. And I must say that with 2 to go, I thought he was going to hold on. And so the result of this, the Coral Eclipse, it's a win for number 10, Sadler's Wells, owned by Mr. Robert Sangster, trained in Ireland by Vincent O'Brien, ridden by Pat Eddery, Pat's 46th winner of the season. It's amazing, isn't it, when the big money, the big prize money is to be won, the Group 1 races, it's Vincent O'Brien who is there, it's Vincent O'Brien who has prevailed today. He won the race last year and he's won it again today with Sadler's Wells. Sadler's Wells the winner. Second was number 9, Time Charter. Third was number 3, Morcon. I think we'll find that the 4th horse home was Crystal Glitters. Miramar Reef got into a lot of trouble, but not enough for him to finish 5th. Behind these came Cormorant Wood, then Ptolomeo, and then Wassell, and the back marker was Society Boy, who dropped out like a pricked balloon. I'm anticipating the result. Officially, it's a photo. Officially a photo for this Coral Eclipse.
But for me, Sadler's Wells...
That was a tremendously popular winner, Sadler's Wells. Somehow the public fancied it more. It's extraordinary, isn't it, that an Irish horse comes over, the public latched onto it, they certainly did, and those two Hills clients with £10,000 on at 7-2 Sadler's Wells, they're in heaven, aren't they?
They may very well be in heaven, but it's Sadler's Wells who's in the winner's enclosure. Another son of Northern Dancer, and the Irish Guineas winner, second in the French Derby. Well, it's amazing, the 3-year-old generation, these Northern Dancers, they really are very, very good horses. The top, world class, absolutely top class. A top class, battling, brave performance over 1.25 miles for Sadler's Wells, who was being stretched to this trip, although of course it finished second over 1.5 miles last time up. He's won 5 races in all now, and this of course, this £80,000 added to the stakes money for the Coral Eclipse, by far and away the most important and the most valuable. And they're off, and they're going without Comanche Run, who did not take part and did not come under starters' orders in August leads, from Pebbles in second place, and Bob back third, and Rainbow Quest settled at the rear of the field in 4th place. So it's August, really setting quite a sensible gallop early on. 5 lengths clear from Pebbles in second, Bob back third, and Rainbow Quest racing on an even keel back in 4th place. They've completed just over 1/4 mile, and August leads from Pebbles in second place, and then Bob back third, and Rainbow Quest back in 4th place. No change then in the order as they continue their run down the far side of the Coral Eclipse. 1.25 miles is the trip, £100,000 in added prize money, and August the leader from Pebbles in second place, then Bob back in third, and Rainbow Quest just in 4th place. Jockey Alan Lecoeur with the pink cap making up a little bit of ground as they begin the sweep out of the back straight. It's still August though in the lead, maintaining it from Pebbles in second, Bob back third, and Rainbow Quest 4. They sweep out of the back straight, and Pebbles getting a little bit closer, but you can see from that camera angle she's still some 3 to 4 lengths behind August, and Rainbow Quest makes ground to go on the outside of Bob back, and this is going to be a sprint finish. August, the pacemaker, has lasted really too long, and it was just over 4 to race, still has the call over Pebbles in second. Rainbow Quest is going to swing a bit wide, and Bruce Raymond's going to come on the inside on Bob back, and with just over 3 to race, Pebbles and Steve Cawthon's got a lot of horse underneath him, but so too is Alan Lecoeur on Rainbow Quest, and Bob back going to try and do them for speed. August, his pacemaking roll is done as Steve Cawthon goes for home on Pebbles, and she's really quickening now, and Rainbow Quest just caught a bit flat-footed there, with just 2 to race. It's Pebbles from Rainbow Quest, Bob back in third, now switch to the outside and trying to stay on, but it's Pebbles with a call by a length, by 2 lengths. Rainbow Quest can find no more and looks surely held. Bob back will have to sprout wings from there, but Pebbles out in front. She's getting to tie up, perhaps running a bit lazy, but now she's getting into gear. The crowd are roaring. Steve Cawthon's coming home. The race is going to be for second place, but Pebbles is going to win it. They're coming up towards the line. Pebbles is the winner. It's Pebbles the winner from Rainbow Quest in second place. Bob back finished third, and so Pebbles the 7-2 winner.
Well, they were devilish late in the paddock, but there they are, parading before the packed stands. Joe, if you had the chance, which would you ride?
Well, John, without a question, Dad, I think I'd have to pick the favourite. After seeing him run the Derby, he proves that he can get the trip, and also the way he finished the Derby shows he's got tremendous turn of foot, and I think that this race should be ideally suited for him.
You'd think this stiff 1.25 miles would be just about ideal. He looks quite well on his toes. He might take quite a fierce hole, I suppose.
Well, he looked tremendously well in the paddock. Actually, at Epsom, when he ran in the paddock, he was going around there very, very quiet indeed until Her Majesty the Queen went out. Then he gave a buck and a kick. He's just an out-to-sea horse. He's on his toes. But he's a winner around this course as a 2-year-old, first time out last year.
Very, very handsome colt, isn't he?
He's a lovely colt. I think today the race is run ideally for him. And I don't think Greville will be too far behind the pace around him.
That'll be interesting, won't it? Because it was dropping him out so far that partly got him into trouble in the Derby.
Well, I watched the replays of the Derby several times, and he did seem to tend to go to sleep, and Greville did ask him, you know, top of the hill and down, halfway down the hill for an effort, and it wasn't forthcoming. But eventually, when he did get him to run, my God, he did fly home.
He certainly did. Did you think that he became a little unbalanced coming out of Tattenham Corner?
But he appeared to when he crossed the road, which is about 3.5 furlongs to run, and Greville sort of dragging him to the outside. It just appeared that the horse did lose his action for a stride or so, and then it took him probably a half a furlong to sort of regain it. But once he got him into full stretch, he came home, I just say 10 point something the last furlong.
10.3, the last but one, which is probably faster than you've ever been.
I think I've been faster than on occasions.
But anyway, it's very, very fast indeed for the last but one furlong of a mile-and-a-half race. There's every possibility that we're looking at a brilliant horse. I hope so. Anyway, number 10, Dancing Brave, and Greville Starkey, who's certainly out to repay his Derby supporters. Let's have a look at what the odds they'll have to lay.
Dancing Brave easing slightly now, the 2-to-1 on favourite. Bedtime steady on 7s. Teleprompter 8-to-1 from 7-to-1, and Triptych steady on 10s. Bold Arrangement 16-to-1 from 14s. Iardi's out to 25s. And the two pacemakers come on the Blues and Grand Harbour, both on 500-to-1.
Well, Joe, here's one you would have ridden in your long reign at West Ilsley. Lovely horse, Bedtime.
Bedtime, I think it's a wonderful gelding. This is a very highly competitive field, you know. It's not a sort of an easy task, I don't think, for Dancing Brave, because these are real tough campaigners. And today there's going to be a very good gallop on from start to finish. And it'll ideally suit these two old horses, you know, and of course the French are not without a chance.
It'll particularly suit Bedtime, won't it? Because, I mean, he gets a mile-and-a-half.
He gets a mile-and-a-half, but probably at his very best at a mile-and-a-quarter, I think.
And I know that Major Hearn will be delighted that it's rain. They've had half an inch of rain here, because although Bedtime has wonderful form on fast ground, Major Hearn thinks that getting older, he probably would like a bit of cut now.
I think these older horses just need the sting out of it now. You know, as you and I get a little bit older, we need the sting out of it.
I need all the sting out of it. And here's someone who's lost. No, well, anyway, we won't talk about McCurrick's sting. Here he is.
I'll give you that, my noble lord. Anyway, this favourite here, Dancing Brave, bookmakers had to go bottle on, 2-to-1 on to get it, and they did. And it wasn't the officers backing it, it was the punters who came in and took the 2-to-1 on right down the rails. It's now 9-4 on. That's the best price you can get against Dancing Brave. And only 3 horses in the 100-year history of the race have failed at bigger odds on than that. But one cautious word of warning for you. I know Joe Mercer has tipped it, but the horse Dancing Brave was sweating, and it's a sultry, warm day here, but there was lather on Dancing Brave, especially between his legs. Punters don't like that. Bedtime's now a 7-to-1 chance. Bedtime, 8-to-1 teleprompter. A bit of money there's been for Bold Arrangement, 16-to-1 into 14-to-1, and Triptych is a 10-to-1 chance, but you're going to have to bet 9-4 on this Dancing Brave. Joe Mercer's tipped it, though.
And there's the famous blinkered head of Lord Derby's teleprompter. The only time he and Bedtime have met, Bedtime came off best, but he was getting £5 and only just beat teleprompter. I wouldn't think there's very much between them. Joe, I would have thought myself that this stiff 1.25 would suit Bedtime better, but you think teleprompter gets it all right?
I think he gets it. Watching him run in America on a round track where you're going to complete circuit, it's different because you are resting a bit on the turns. But this is a very severe 1.25 here, and he's been running a mile most of the year on straight galloping tracks. The pacemaker he's had has taken him so really not far enough, you know.
With any luck, Come On the Blues will making the pace for Bold Arrangement. He's a winner of the Royal Hunt Cup. I think he might stay in front for longer.
He'll stay in front, I should imagine, for at least a mile. He's a very, very good old horse in front, especially with nobody taking him on.
Yes, I hope so. Clive Britton says he's been lent by Pebbles, Come On the Blues, because he, of course, is Pebbles' great bon ami, and she has lent him to Bold Arrangement. And now beginning to go in. What a fascinating race. You've won it twice, Joe, on the Brigadier, of course.
Yes, and gonna be. It's a very thrilling moment when those boxes open on a good horse. This should be a very good blistering pace, I should think, from the start.
There's Bold Arrangement going in. There's only one more to go, so for a fascinating Coral Eclipse, over to you, Graham Good.
And that one to go in is the blinkered winner, I-80s, French Raider. That's it, they're all installed in, and all eyes on Dancing Brave and Greville Starkey. Under orders, they're away, and through the first furlong, the pacemakers go on. It's Grand Harbour, the leader, from Come On the Blues, second. Bedtime Racing, third. Dancing Brave settled well in 4. Triptych, 5. Bold Arrangement, 6. Teleprompter, 7. I-80s in 8th place. And it's Grand Harbour really stretching them down the far side. Come On the Blues, second. Bedtime Racing, third. Next to the rails, Dancing Brave going very handsomely indeed. Settled well in a very good position in 4th place. On the outside of that one is Triptyque, then Bold Arrangement, then Teleprompter, and Iades at the back of the field, finding his pace a bit hot. Set by Grand Harbour, who's showing the way through the first 3 furlongs now. Grand Harbour the leader from Come On the Blues. Bedtime racing on an even keel in third. Behind these Triptyque, and then Dancing Brave and Bold Arrangement and Teleprompter. And finally Iades. This head-on shot rather foreshortens the distance between first and last, but Grand Harbour, you can see there, the leader, now gives way to Come On the Blues. Bedtime with it in third. Triptyque makes a bit of ground on the outside of Dancing Brave. Close up 5, Bold Arrangement tracks up, and then Teleprompter going well behind these Iades. And it's Grand Harbour the leader from Come On the Blues in second place. Bedtime close up in third. I wonder what sort of pace these pacemakers have in fact set as they turn into the home straight. Grand Harbour the leader from Come On the Blues second. Bedtime gets the split between these. Dancing Brave with a pink cap moves up and travels very well. Triptyque on the right of the picture, Bold Arrangement behind these as Grand Harbour gives way. Come On the Blues gives way, and Bedtime goes on from Triptyque. Here comes Triptyque on the outside, and Dancing Brave has to switch. It's Triptyque who goes home from Dancing Brave. 2 furlongs to go in the Coral Eclipse. It is Triptyque, Dancing Brave, Bedtime, Teleprompter, Bold Arrangement, Iades, and now Dancing Brave in a matter of strides goes on from Triptyque. It's Dancing Brave from Triptyque. This is a class performance, a furlong to go, and Dancing Brave really lengthening and striding away. 5-6 lengths clear of Triptyque in second place. Teleprompter Panthers for second. No doubt about the winner. A quality colt in fluid action. Dancing Brave, an impressive winner. Triptyque second, Bedtime just third. Iades in a photo with Bold Arrangement to gap then to Bedtime. The pacemakers did a good job. Come On the Blues beat Grand Harbour, and so the outcome of this Coral Eclipse, the 9-4 on favourite Dancing Brave has
the public, they are backing Reference Point. It is not the office firm shoring it up, it's the public going in for it. Triptyque is very weak, 3-1, 9-2 in places they're calling Triptyque. Bookmakers cannot get the French filly. 6-1 Bellotto is pretty solid. The best back to the rest is this top one, Mtoto. From 15-2, they're now calling 6-1 against Mtoto. Milligram, the filly, is out to 10-1, though that's quite hard to get. You can get any price, the rags. But this Reference Point, of all the odds on or even money chances that run all season, and think how you're thinking now. Is this the best value of the lot? I do not believe it. But if it wins, I'll be saying, oh me of little faith.
Well, with horses making the running in Reference Point and Media Starguest, others waiting, Joe, tactics are going to be vitally important.
I think in this race today they'll be very, very important, because they all know what Reference Point can do out in front. And Triptyque, she loves to come from behind. And today Tony will be very concerned about coming from it. He won't want to get there too soon on this filly, because as we've all seen her win various times, she goes to the front full of running, a very, very short run, then she tends to idle. And today you want to, be getting there very, very late. She's just been a little bit sort of temperamental getting the stalls at the moment. I think she's always like this. It's a very warm day anyway. So these English stall handles are well. There she goes. She's in beautifully. Very settled.
Well, half the field in. Media Starguest goes. Reference Point goes. Evans Reference Point, 4-1 Triptyque, 6-1 Bellotto and Mtoto, 10-1 Bar. Graham, they're all yours.
Thank you, Jim, for the Coral Eclipse. 1.25 miles of the trip, just waiting for Milligram to go into the stalls, and she's just a few lengths off them. But meanwhile in the stalls, look at Tony Cruz, calm and collected. On the outside of him is Paul Cook on Gulf King, and then Pat Heddery referring behind to Milligram and Walter Swinburne, just being a little bit reluctant about going forward. Milligram, Walter Swinburne dismounted from her on the way down to the start, and she certainly not that enthusiastic about going into the stalls at the moment. Just having to be sweetened up. She's going to have the hood put on. Meanwhile, back in the stalls, the others are cool, calm and collected as we wait for Walter Swinburne to go in on Milligram. The other 7 lined up.
She seems to have got in a bit of a mess, Joe.
Yeah, I've never seen her do that before. It's the first time I've ever seen her get worked up, but she's fine, she's in now.
And she's in the stalls. Triptyque nearest to us. Reference Point on the far side, and Mtoto, both yellow jackets. That's it. Milligram's in. They're lined up. That's it. Out and running. and Gulf King was slowly away. The others broke on an even pace, and through the first furlong, it's Reference Point who goes on. Where's the pacemaker for Triptyque, who's in second? The pacemaker's back in third, fourth place, and the pacemaker is outpaced, and Reference Point is blazing a trail. Bellotto sits on him in second. Media Starguest goes third. Triptyque 4, Milligram Sharp Noble. Then comes Mtoto, and the back marker is Gulf King, and Reference Point has it, going a terrific pace down the back stretch. Media Starguest, the pacemaker, only in second place. Bellotto races third. Milligram is 4. Triptyque is 5. Mtoto in sixth place. Sharp Noble 7. And absolutely outpaced is Gulf King at the rear of the field. The rank outsiders are last and last but one. The red-hot favourite, Reference Point, has the call over Media Starguest in second. Bellotto sitting on him in third. Behind these, Milligram in 4. Triptyque races 5. And Mtoto racing well in 6. And after these comes Sharp Noble in the back marker, Gulf King, who missed the break in his last. But it's Reference Point in the lead, turning out of the back stretch. From Media Starguest second, Bellotto poised to challenge in third. Milligram in 4. Triptyque has some racing to do and some ground to make up if she's going to win. And Mtoto and Michael Roberts make ground in the yellow jacket. They turn into the home stretch, just over 3 to go. Media Starguest runs wide, and Reference Point has it. Reference Point from Bellotto in second, Milligram going in third. Mtoto next to the rails. Triptyque's going to have to find room, and it's Reference Point in the lead with under 3 furlongs to race in the Coral Eclipse. Reference Point has it from Milligram in second, and Mtoto going very well. Triptyque is going to be pulled to the outside to deliver her challenge. They've still got 2 furlongs to go, and Reference Point from Mtoto, and Triptyque on the outside. Milligram under pressure. Bellotto is beaten, and they've got a furlong and a half to go, and Reference Point trapped now by Mtoto, with Triptyque hanging in behind them. They've got a furlong to go, and it's Mtoto in the yellow next to the rails. Reference Point in the spots, and Mtoto comes to take Reference Point, and Mtoto goes on by half a length. Reference Point battles back. Triptyque finishes well, but Mtoto beats the Derby winner. Mtoto beats Reference Point. Triptyque is third. He's 12 clear of Bellotto, who's 1 ahead of Milligram. A gap of 10 lengths to Gulf King, another 10 to Sharp Noble, and last of all was Media Starguest. And so the result of this, the Coral Eclipse, a thrilling victory for number 2, Mtoto, owned by Sheikh Ahmed Al Maktoum. Trained at Newmarket by Alex Stewart, ridden by Michael Roberts, at 6 to 1, has eclipsed the Derby winner, Reference Point, who's owned by Mr. Lewis Friedman, trained at Newmarket by Henry Cecil, and ridden by Steve Corbin.
6 to 4, Triptyque 3 to 1, Indian Skimmer 4 to 1, 13 to 2 bar. Here's Graham.
Triptyque went in very calmly. She normally shows a bit of temperament at the start. I wonder what sort of race she'll run. That's it, away they go. Toto was very slow in leaving the stalls, and that's somewhere in a drift. Wasn't allowed to stride out going to the start, Toto. Walked very slowly indeed. But through the first furlong, it's Galitzin that sets the early running by a length and a half to Shady Heights, by half the Triptyque settled well. With it is Indian Skimmer racing 4, then comes Tay Wharf in 5, followed by Charmer Broken Hearted, and Toto the back marker. The pace now steadied through the first furlong, and it's Shady Heights now that goes through on the outside, just a shade. Galitzin, 3 parts of a length back to Triptyque, who's very close and racing on an even keel. With it is Indian Skimmer, and then Tay Wharf next to the rails. Charmer tracks that, then Broken Hearted taking a keen hold, and Toto is still the back marker. They've completed just over 3 furlongs, and Shady Heights on the outside of Galitzin, with Triptyque going very well indeed for her at this stage of a race, having seen her at Epsom. On the inside of her is Indian Skimmer, next to the rails is Tay Wharf, then Broken Hearted, Charmer, and Toto still the back marker. They've passed halfway, and it's Shady Heights on the outside of Galitzin as they turn in. Toto still back marker, just over 4 to race, and it's Shady Heights from Galitzin. Indian Skimmer on the outside. Triptyque just losing a position as he turns in. Charmer on the outside. Toto looks for room. They're in line for home in the Coral Eclipse, and Galitzin and the horse with the noseband, Shady Heights, the grey Indian Skimmer. Then behind these, Tay Wharf, then Broken Hearted, being hemmed in at this stage by Triptyque. Toto the favourite still last, just over 2 to go, and Shady Heights goes on by a length now to Galitzin in second place. They pass the 2 furlong pole. Shady Heights, Galitzin, then comes Indian Skimmer, Triptyque. Toto now launched on the wide outside. Broken Hearted looks for room, a furlong and a half to go, and here with a steady run on the wide outside comes Toto, the favourite to come and take the Coral Eclipse. Shady Heights still has the edge though. Toto coming with a great run. They race inside the final furlong, and Shady Heights keeping up the gallop, and Shady Heights going on by half a length. Toto tries to find more, and he does so, and at the line Toto gets there. Shady Heights second. A very close
close for third between Triptyque and Indian Skimmer. Then came Galitzin, broken-hearted. Tay Wharf and Charmer was last of all. And so the outcome of this, the Coral Eclipse. Mtoto, for me, has just prevailed. That one owned by Sheikh Ahmed Al Maktoum. Trained at Newmarket by Alex Stewart and done what not many horses have done this century, and that is win the Coral Eclipse in successive years. The last one to do so was back in the 1920s. Officially, it's a photo. The judge has called for a photo, but for me, there's no doubt about it. Mtoto has won it. What a cracking race. Number 3, Shady Heights, has run to finish second. That one ridden by Tony Ives. And the judge might take some time to negotiate a position whereby he can choose the third, because that's very close between Triptyque and Indian Skimmer. Disappointment of the race was broken-hearted, but the only hearts broken down in the ring are those of the bookmakers, who moved Mtoto from odds-on to long odds against, relatively speaking, the best horse in the race has prevailed. But by gum, it was close.
A fantastic finish again to this Eclipse Stakes, with Shady Heights, who'd made just about all the running, leading from Galitzin as they turned into the straight, John. But the first point to make is that they'd gone very steadily early on.
Yeah, broken-hearted, didn't settle at all for the first 3 furlongs, and Richard Quinn's been sort of forced to stay on the rails there, and has got no run at all. He's boxed in there, and basically when he should have been making his move, didn't really have anywhere to go. Tony Ives has ridden a lovely race from the front here on Shady Heights, and if you'd stopped the camera 50 yards from the post, you'd have had your house on him still winning. But Michael Roberts wouldn't give in. This horse is very tough. Great training performance by Alex Stewart, and it was an exceptionally good performance. We were saying earlier, very seldom see Michael Roberts do anything wrong in a race. He always seems to be in the right position, and he's got this horse settled. He missed the break on purpose, and he's come from last place right on the outside, and just at this point here I thought, well, he was going to finish second. I thought Shady Heights was going to hold him.
As he got alongside him, Shady Heights is spurred by the fact that he's got another horse alongside him, and really found extra. And Michael Roberts has to dig deep, and Mtoto, rather like last year, forges ahead in the last 50 yards. Shady Heights, under strong driving from Tony Ives, answering really well and pulling clear of the others, but slowly but surely as they get to the line, Michael Roberts pushing away. Remember, he's come from last in the straight, has finally got up, and that's a tremendous performance by this 5-year-old son of Busted.
I don't think he ever looked like picking his stick up either.
As you can see, it looks certain that Mtoto has won the 6-4 favourite. 6-4 favourite, it's still a photo, but there is no betting down in the ring on the result of the photo finish. Shady Heights went off a double carpet, 33-1, and for so long looked like being the longest price winner ever of the Eclipse. The other 33-1 winner was Coup de Feu, Pat Eddery, in 1974, and it's a photo for third between Triptyque at 3-1 and Indian Skimmer at 4-1. But that Mtoto, provided he's won, the 42nd favourite in 91 runnings of the Eclipse to win, and the 4th horse to complete the double. Polifontes did it in 1924 and 25. Here comes the result now. Mtoto wins the races. Shady Heights is second. And Triptyque is third, placed in a Group 1 race yet again. So Mtoto, 6-4 favourite, beats Shady Heights 33-1. Triptyque is third at 3-1. And then Mtoto, as I said, the 4th horse to complete the double. Polifontes in the 20s. The Derby runner-up, Buchan, did it in 1919 and 1920, and Orme in the 1890s. A marvellous reception awaits Mtoto, and how his backers shook throughout the final furlong.
And as usual on a great occasion at Sandown, the crowds flocked to the unsaddling enclosure.
Nashwan is here, still unbeaten, trying to continue the run, but this time against his elders. This is definitely the toughest assignment he's had so far, and this looks to be one of the great Eclipse Stakes, because right back to 1903 you probably had to stretch to see so complete a battle of the generations, and in that year the Derby winner was Roxanne. He actually won the Triple Crown that year. He was in against the previous year's Derby winner Ard Patrick and the great filly Scepter, who had been beaten in the Derby, won all the other classics that season. And that day, I have to tell you, Roxanne actually finished third against his elders. That's the sort of thing that Nashwan is in against. It is genuinely a historic race for this, the Coral Eclipse Stakes. Here are the runners and riders from Graham.
And they have between them won over £1,878,000 in win and place prize money in 30 races in all. Number 2 is Warning, ridden by Pat Edery, drawn 1. Number 3, Indian Skimmer, drawn 2, Steve Gawthon. Number 4, Greensmith, Greville Starkey, drawn 3, has a white cap. Number 5, Nashwan, drawn 4, Willie Carson. Number 6, Opening Verse, at 5, Nigel Day, has a white cap with a maroon star. And completing the 6-runner lineup is number 7, Spring Hay, drawn 6, ridden by Billy Newnes. As the tension mounts, let's look at the betting.
Nashwan is the 9-4 on favourite, and Nashwan's trainer Dick Hearn has just won the Lancashire Oaks up at Haydock with Roseate Turn. Warning 4-1. Indian Skimmer is 5-1, open up at 4s. Greensmith 66-1, Opening Verse is 200-1, together with Spring Hay, and they're all quoted for the Coral Eclipse Stakes.
You join us at paddock side. John Frankham and I will be looking at the horses. And John, this really is the real thing.
I can't ever remember looking forward to a race as much as I've looked forward to this one, Bruff. And now they're in the paddock. I think the interesting thing is that although he's only a three-year-old, Nashwan actually makes Warning look like a 2-year-old. He is an enormous horse and looks fitter than he did at the Derby to me.
Well, it's a great moment. It's been very close. So actually, how horses are reacting to things is very important. Let's look at Nashwan first. And we haven't obviously seen him since the Derby, but he does walk around with a lot of presence. But I notice after his we've got Concord going ahead. After he's poked his foot, he is walking around on the grass, John.
Well, his lads knows him better than anybody, and he did take an awful lot of care for this horse when I watched him running at Newmarket first time up. I think if there's a chance of walking on tarmac and walking on the grass, he's a lad that thinks all the time, and obviously he's not going to slip over on the grass, whereas he might on the tarmac. But as you said, he's got wonderful presence, this horse, and I know there was a scare a week ago about him having a poison foot. Obviously, as the vet said yesterday, Mr. Hearn wouldn't be running him unless he was 100% fit, and as I said, I think he looks even better than he did when he won the Derby.
Well, Warning, a very different sort, John. But he's done a couple of performances, at least in his career, which have been absolutely dazzling. We'll never forget that Queen Elizabeth performance last year at Ascot. Indeed, he looked very, very good at Royal Ascot last time.
Yeah, he looks wonderful. And Guy Harwood's turned him out to perfection, and he's certainly in good form with himself and having a jump and a kick going round the paddock. The interesting thing to me, Bruff, is I don't know quite why they've run a pacemaker for the two horses, Indian Skimmer and Warning. You'd have thought that they'd have had a little bit more speed than Nashwan, and I'd have thought that the slower they went, the more it would have suited them, and I just couldn't quite work out the reason why.
Well, tactics are going to be fascinating, and of course, tactics always it's interesting with Indian Skimmer. It's really her mind as much as the ground, which is very important to her, John.
Yes, she's done very little racing, I'd say, on ground that she likes. She's been more or less forced to run on ground that's probably a little bit firmer than she likes. But two of the most memorable performances for me for the last few years are both her wins in the Champions Stakes. I mean, she's a dazzling performer on her best, and she's not put up scintillating displays so far this year, but she's won both of her races, and I think she's a filly certainly that comes to herself more this time of the year than early on. And with a cut in the ground, she's got to be somewhere there nearabouts.
John, just tell us how you think that the cards will be played, because obviously Nashwan's got proven stamina, Warning has got the most obvious speed. Who will play first? How will that develop?
I would think that certainly Willie Carson will be making most of the use of Nashwan, and it's nice for him that the other two have decided to run a pacemaker for him. But just for one moment in the Derby, just as they came down the hill, there was just a split second to me when he looked like he was just going to get cut for just a little bit of speed at one stage. That was over 1.5 miles. Today's against two very sharp horses. Willie's obviously knows exactly what the form is, but I'm sure that we'll be seeing him making plenty of use, and I can see the pacemakers dropping out about 1.5 furlongs to go, and as we know, Willie's not afraid to take the running up from there. and I'll be surprised if this horse doesn't come home a good winner.
One line, John. If the not inconsiderable Franken Fortune was on one horse, which would it be?
It'd have to be on Nashwan.
Thank you.
Don't forget that in 1903 they made Roxanne favourite to beat Scepter and Ard Patrick. Roxanne admittedly wasn't unbeaten, but he had won both the 2,000 guineas and the Derby, and here is Nashwan, who's done that and is also unbeaten. He's not only unbeaten, he's virtually unextended, because although you don't win a Derby on a tight rein exactly, nevertheless you couldn't say that he was pushed to the limit at Epsom. The tactics, as has been said, will be absolutely fascinating. I quite agree with John that Willie's got to commit himself a fair way out, because he knows his horse will get every yard of the trip. The distance is ideal for Indian Skimmer, and this is the one who's got the speed. Warning. There he is, wonderfully relaxed horse, never run beyond a mile. He's run 2 marvellous races over a mile. The Queen Elizabeth II Stakes last year, I thought that was the best performance since Brigadier Gerard at a mile. And although Warning disappointed in America, he put up an equally brilliant performance at Royal Ascot, or at any rate, again showed that same blinding turn of speed. He's beautifully relaxed. His dam was second in the Oaks, and it's entirely possible that he will stay this 1.25 miles well enough to produce at the end of it the same blinding turn of speed. Warning, incidentally, has got the the prize for the best turned out horse. Steve Pearce, his lad, gets £100. But he will. There is Warning going out, and behind him is Greensmith, the Abdallah second string. Here comes the Derby winner, Nashwan, in one set of Maktoum colours. Here in the second of Sheikh Mohammed's colours, his opening verse. Behind him is Spring Hay in the grey with the diamonds. And here is the great grey filly, Indian Skimmer. She doesn't look much like a weak, unassuming female either. And don't forget that she gets a £3 sex allowance, despite the fact that she's just as big and powerful as a colt. After she won her second Champion Stakes last year, Henry Cecil said that on the right ground, this is the best horse he's ever trained. Henry's trained the winners of every single British Classic race at least twice, so although Indian Skimmer hasn't won a Classic, that was no mean compliment to pay. The big problem all her life has been the ground. She just can't stretch on the firm ground, but Henry believes, and I'm sure he's right, that there's quite enough cut to make her comfortable today. She has shown a little bit of temperament sometimes before a race, but when the stall's open, when the action's on, Steve Cawthon says that she's a tiger. I know he loves her, and how we'd all love to see her become the second mare ever to win an Eclipse. And the second Abdallah horse is no mean performer, mind you. Greensmith, in fact, was a pacemaker in the 2,000 guineas. Jeff Lawson said that he's running on his merits here, and as John said, I can't see why they should want to make a pace for Warning. The slower they go, the better it would suit Warning. So Greensmith probably is running on his merits, but if there did happen to be a fourth-run race, he would almost certainly be up.
Gruff just made a very valid point there, John. I was just discussing why they were running the pacemaker for him, and then I thought back, and Gruff was saying that, and quite rightly so, that this horse sometimes doesn't settle quite as well as you'd like, and probably it's just Greensmith there just to make sure they don't actually hang around. They go at a reasonable pace, that this horse does drop the bit and relax.
The warning.
The warning. And give him every chance of settling.
I'm sure that's right. He does sometimes take a stronghold. It's the first 3 furlongs they want to gallop for.
Absolutely, and if a horse is running over a little bit longer distance than he's been running over before, you want him to get the trip. Obviously, the most important thing is for him to be settled. Anyway, that's Warning. The one we're looking at is Greensmith. Let's have a look at the betting show.
And Greensmith in the market at 80-1 from 66s. Nashwan, the 9-4 on favourite. Warning steady on 4-1. And Indian Skimmer now out to 11-2, opened up at 4s. Opening verse is 200-1, together with Spring Hay, and they're all quoted for the Coral Eclipse.
And the last two are opening verse in Sheikh Mohammed's second colours. Hasn't won this season, but was a very good two-year-old, won 3 of his 4 races last year. And behind him, Spring Hay, who has the distinction of finishing within 5 lengths of Old Vic in the Guardian Classic Trial. We're looking at opening verse. Behind him, in the grey and the purple diamonds, are Spring Hay and Billy Nunes. It will be a very great surprise indeed if either of those two is involved in the finish.
If you'd just been down to the paddock, John, and you'd taken all of the number cloths off them and said that opening verse was 200-1 in any race, you'd have snatched any bookmaker's hand off. He really does look a picture. And he actually didn't run too badly last time out at Ascot, behind 2 time in the St James Palace Stake. But
nevertheless, you can still have 200 pennies removed. And there you see the tremendous crowd getting a fine view of them as they parade. They'll walk down and then canter back and down the hill past the 3-mile chase start to the 1.25 mile start at the corner. It's another look at the Derby winner. He's wonderfully relaxed, just a little bit of sweat between his thighs now. I haven't seen that before, certainly didn't see it on Derby Day. But Nashwan is basically a very, very relaxed horse.
I'm surprised that they're not all a lot warmer than they are, John. It's very humid here still this afternoon. And I'm surprised that they aren't a lot warmer. The enormous crowd here today, and sure not to be disappointed.
No, it's marvellous. If they won't come to see this, they wouldn't come to see anything, and they really have come in very, very large numbers. The real enthusiasts about racing. There's nowhere else you'd want to be this afternoon. Now then, let's see him go down, because this is one of the finest actions I've ever seen, certainly.
Covers an awful lot of ground, and I think that he's going to appreciate this cut in the ground. He went on good to soft last year at Newbury. I think that a bit of cut in the ground, he's quite a big, heavy-topped horse, and I would think he'll appreciate it more than the ground he's been running on, John.
I'm sure he will, and Sandown ought to suit him perfectly too. We didn't know whether he'd come down the hill at Epsom, but here all he's got to worry about is the uphill finish, and that ought to help him at least against Warning. And the question is when Willie Carson will press the button and set sail in an attempt to draw Warning's sting.
I wouldn't think it'd be the biggest surprise if they don't go a good gallop that he takes them on from quite a long way out, John.
No, he went on 3 furlongs from home in the Derby, didn't he? Let's have a look at Nashwan's action again in detail. Not really striding out, but you can see how he points his toe. Tremendous, covering the ground with tremendous power.
Covers an awful lot of ground, and lovely picture of it. That's the sort of picture you normally associate with seeing Pat Edry really there with his hands right down on the withers, just horse not pulling, not dossing. He's just enjoying himself on the way down to the post, and he does have the most wonderful action.
It's no wonder that at West Ilsley at the start of this season there was suddenly tremendous excitement in the air, because they suddenly knew that they had what they felt was a champion. News from John.
It's 5-2 on Nashwan. That's just the price that's come in. Now let's have a look at the stats. 42 favourites have won the Eclipse in 91 runnings. There have been 23 odds on winners, 13 odds on losers, and this century 18 odds on winners, 12 odds on losers. And the public are absolutely smashing into Nashwan. For instance, Brown West has 8 or 10,000 to 4 on. The 8,500 to 4 on went in a long time ago, 5-2 on. But there are some punters still defying the near public hysteria that's developed for Nashwan, and they are backing Warning. 4-1 has gone. It's now 7-2 against Warning. Indian Skimmer is almost friendless out to 11-2 now. Indian Skimmer in places 80 and 101. Greensmith 200 won the rags. One Pat Densham punters at £1,000 each way at SP. Greensmith and £1,000 each way Spring Hay. That at SP, but no one else is following them. Nashwan, the whole nation, the whole racecourse, the whole world seems to believe that Nashwan is going to win the Eclipse.
And let's have a look at the main reason for that support, the ever-ready Derby. Here he comes, Nashwan, coming to challenge what was thought to be his great rival, Cacoethes. Greville Starkey in front on Cacoethes had been going well, but suddenly there's no more left, and Nashwan goes clear.
And the further he goes, the better he goes. And it's left to Terramon, who's just coming along there in third there, to take up the runner-up spot, but really there wasn't a runner-up. It was a long way back to the second horse, and the further he went, the better he was going. I think this hill here at Sandown will suit him. Let's have a look at his main rival, Warning. There he is. He's a...
Well, Nashwan won't be at all an easy horse to sit behind if he gets into that kind of rhythm, but Warning is... he's only been beaten 4 times. This was one of them in the Prix Jacques Le Marois, and that's the great Miesque coming on the outside. Warning had shown his speed, but Miesque trumps it. Look at the speed she produces to go past Warning, and interestingly, in third place there is Gabina, who was beaten by Indian Skimmer this season. And there is Indian Skimmer, and in a moment we'll have a look at her victory, her second victory this season in the Prix d'Ispahan, and I think you'll see that Steve Cawthon really is able to give Indian Skimmer a pretty comfortable race, really. I don't believe he ever picks up his whip. He made just once. There he did, just once, but that was all. He's riding with hands and heels, and that horse coming to finish second is Gabina, who was third to Warning in the Prix Jacques de Marois.
I thought that was the best I've seen her move as well for a long time, John. And I think the further we go into the season, the better she runs. Let's have a look to see where she is in the betting.
Indian Skimmer now on 11-2. Nashwan the 5-2 on favourite. Warning 7-2 now from 4-1. Greensmith 80-1. Opening verse 200-1. Together with Spring Hay, and they're all quoted.
And so we have the best mile and a half horse, Nashwan, the best mile of Warning, best mile and a quarter horse, Indian Skimmer, and they're all lined up for the Coral Eclipse. We've got the quest for the best, and they break away, and through the first furlong it's Greensmith that goes on to set the pace, with Opening Verse in second place, Spring Hay settled third, and the 3 giants are tucked in behind at a gap of 2 lengths. Nashwan 4, Warning 5, and Indian Skimmer just in last place. But Greensmith setting a very good pace indeed, leads by a length. 2 Opening Verse in second, and then comes Spring Hay, and Warning on the outside of Nashwan, and Indian Skimmer is back in last place, and they've gone over a quarter of a mile already, and it's Greensmith leading by half a length, with Opening Verse on the inside of him. A gap then of 2 lengths to Spring Hay, who shows in third. A length behind that is the powerful Nashwan in 4. Warning settled 5, and Indian Skimmer tucked away in last place. And they continue down the far side, down towards the halfway stage, and Greensmith with a white cap is wide of Opening Verse in second. Then comes Spring Hay in third, followed by Nashwan in 4th place. Then Warning is wide, and Indian Skimmer is still last, and they're past halfway, and it's Opening Verse that goes on. Opening Verse in the lead to Greensmith in second, and the top cards have yet to be played, and they're still well out the back, and it's Opening Verse who's gone clear by 5, and now Nashwan starts to make ground on the outside of Greensmith. Warning forced even wider still. Indian Skimmer comes with a run, but it's her pacemaker. Opening Verse in front as they come down towards the 3, but here comes Nashwan through in the blue, under 3 to race, and Opening Verse clear of Nashwan and Indian Skimmer, and Warning, who when he goes past the 2 furlong marker will be in unknown territory, and they come down towards the 2, and it's Opening Verse being pressed hard by Warning and by Nashwan, and here comes Nashwan on the outside, a furlong and a half to go, and Nashwan goes on, and the crowd rise to a champion. It's Nashwan clear by 2, back to 3 to Indian Skimmer. Warning is right out of it, he's struggling, but Nashwan has it, and in the quest for the best, it's Nashwan who pulls 4 clear. The race
races for the place. Nashwan has it. He maintains his unbeaten record. This isn't his best trip, but he's winning it emphatically. And Nashwan is the winner. A photo second opening verse may just have tipped Indian Skimmer, but they are 15 clear of Warning, who's fourth. And then came Springhay, and Greensmith was last of all. And so Nashwan at 5-2 on has won this race of champions, the Coral Eclipse. It's gone to the son of Blushing Groom, Nashwan, owned by Hamdan Al Maktoum, trained at West Ilsley by Major Dick Hearn, and ridden by Willie Carson, who won the race back in 90 with Elamanamu. And Nashwan has now won over £500,000 in winner place prize money. But what a racehorse! Superb action, superb temperament, and over 1.25 miles, which isn't his best trip, he annihilated the best of the rest. Confirmation, it's a photo for second place. A photo for second place. Between opening verse, who was a long way clear with 2 furlongs to go, and Indian Skimmer. So it's a photo for the Sheikh Mohammed owned 2 for second and third, but a long way behind Nashwan. We'll find that the fourth horse home was Warning. Very disappointing performance by Warning, beaten a long way out. Then came Springhay, and the last horse to finish was the first one to go in front, and not surprisingly Greensmith was last. But the quest for the best has thrown up Nashwan.
I remember when Mill Reef won this race, saying that he wasn't just a good Derby winner, he was a great one. And you're entitled to feel that about Nashwan now. Unlike Mill Reef, of course, he's never been beaten. And when he looses this tremendous surge to go past opening verse, there isn't any doubt. Not just a good Derby winner, a great one.
I don't think we've ever seen this horse asked a really serious question either, John. I mean, he's won. Willie's only just been pushing along hands and heels on him, and he's won so easily. I thought opening verse ran a great race. I think that he's just held on to Indian Skimmer, who I thought ran on really well, because she looked to be the first one beaten as they turned down the back. But this is a really exceptional horse, John.
He's quickened up the hill marvellously well, just as he did in the Derby. Really, the further they go, the further he wins. His stride never shortens. Willie never bothers to show him the whip. A truly marvellous performance. The Derby winner and now the Eclipse winner. That's a very, very rare combination, and you wouldn't know, would you? Between Sheikh Mohammed's pair, Indian Skimmer on this side, opening verse on the far side, your guess is every bit as good as mine.
On at 5-2 on has landed some of the biggest bets ever seen on the racecourse. £80,000 to 40,000 on, 50,000 to 20,000 on. A tremendous result for the punters, ghastly for the bookmakers. Very close, as you saw, for second with Indian Skimmer, an 11-2 chance. Opening verse, 200-1 opening verse. So many forecast bets resting with Indian Skimmer. But this Nashwan, the 43rd favourite to win in 92 runnings of the Eclipse, the 24th to go in the odds on, and the 10th horse to win the 2,000 guineas, and the Eclipse as a 3-year-old, and the 8th to win it as the Derby and the Eclipse. Really had been in mid-air there.
You don't very often see a horse as unflappable as that. That was a marvellous welcome, and Nashwan walked into it as though he'd been doing it all his life. Almost always they stop at the gate. You're looking at a picture of 2 happy men, an awful lot of happy men really, because this must be one of the most popular winners for a long time. And there's the reason, there's the Major, Major Dick Hearn. How lovely for him to have such a great horse in his hands. we still don't know who was second, I don't think. I rather hope Indian Skimmer was, but no. Opening Verse was second, so sadly Indian Skimmer didn't quite manage it, but well done, Opening Verse. You might have scored 200 to 1 each way.
Yeah, I might just have done. And well, there was only Daylight was second, really, if we're being truthful. And it's difficult to imagine whether there's anything or any horse running at the moment who's going to be able to give this horse a race over any distance.
Well, you said what a good-looking horse this fellow is. Opening Verse. There's Mrs. Cecil in the background. And, well, he's won Sheikh Mohammed a very, very considerable second prize as he goes away, Opening Verse. And the great question now will be, will they dare run Nashwan in the King George VI? And if so, who will dare take him on? It's certainly not easy to see who's going to beat him. And there's a picture of a very, very happy man.
If we had a little bit of cut in the ground, it wouldn't be the biggest surprise if his brother took it on, John Umfway.
No, exactly. That's one question that Major Hearn and the Maktoums will have to decide, whether to take Nashwan on with Unful Wayne. And the other question, of course, is whether Old Vic, Sheikh Mohammed's Old Vic, would take him on at Ascot. I must say, everyone will hope that, despite the fact that they're owned by brothers, that those two will meet before the season ends. But how lucky we are to have such a magnificent horse. Well, the starting price won't make you all that rich unless you were one of those people who laid a huge sum. Here it is.
First, number 5, Nashwan, the 5 to 2 on favourite. Second, number 6, Opening Verse, returned at 200 to 1. And third, number 3, Indian Skimmer, 11 to 2. The total returns win 140, places 120 and £9.50. The dual forecast going to £38.50 and 6 round. Haydock 340, the Lancashire Oaks, won by number 7, Roseate Turn, 7 to 4 favourite. Second, number 4, Lucky Song, 6 to 1. And third, number 8, Rapping at 8 to 1, 8 round. 345 Bath, 3, Carmagoli, 3 to 1. 1, Future Success, 11 to 8 favourite. And 2, El Quam at 7 to 2, 5 round. At Phoenix Park, the 325s won by number 2, Distant Relative at 4 to 1. Second, number 4, Sagamore, 20 to 1. And third, number 1, Executive Perk, 2 to 1 joint favourite. The other joint favourite was number 3, Monster Gem, and 6 round.
And here the Princess Royal, Princess Anne, who of course is a internationally renowned horseman in her own right, horsewoman I should say, and a person who knows all about the thoroughbred and would have delighted in what she saw this afternoon. What we all saw was something of, really, in the small world of the thoroughbred, of historic dimensions. A performance that will rank amongst the best that anyone ever saw here at Sandown. And now, the presentation ceremony.
Sandown Park is honoured to welcome Her Royal Highness, the Princess Royal, who has graciously consented to present the trophy for this, the Coral Eclipse Stakes. The Princess Royal is accompanied by Mr. Peter Sherlock, the chairman of Corals, to whom we would like to express our sincere appreciation for their most generous and continued sponsorship of this Group 1 event. Receiving the trophy, the owner of the winner of the 2,000 guineas, the Ever-Ready Derby, and now the Coral Eclipse. Ladies and gentlemen, His Highness Sheikh Hamdan Al Maktoum.
Willie Carson there with Dick Hearn. What a long and great partnership they've had. Great horses too, but none, they both say, better than this horse Nashwan. And now Princess Anne coming down to present the trophy at ground level for Dick.
Ladies and gentlemen, Corals have also very kindly given trophies of presentation to the
We're going to go in afterwards, Andrew, yes?
trainer and jockey receiving his award, Major Dick Hearn. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, the winning rider, Willie Carson.
It's Willie and the Princess and Dick. Just bathing in their moment of triumph. And we're going to step forward here. Sorry. Willie, Dick and Willie from all at Channel 4 once again. I think the best word we can all say, Dick, is thank you. Thank you for Nashwan. Thank you, Willie, for the ride, because what we saw was really incredibly exciting. How much does it excite you, Dick?
I was very excited. I mean, it was the most impressive performance, I thought. I mean, I fancied the horse to win, obviously, but I didn't think he'd win so very easily.
I mean, you've always said to go in against the older horses was going to be the final proof that this was a champion. You had an affected foot with the horse earlier in the week. How much of a problem was that?
Well, it was a nasty scare at the time, but my veterinary surgeons, John Gray and Barry Park, they found the pus straight away, and the treatment worked, and we got him. He only missed one day's exercise, and on that day he was let out for 3 times, you know, with a boot on.
And Dick, with a small field and other champions in again, tactics are very crucial. What were the plans of Mr. Carson?
Win. Well, he knows the horse. There's no good me giving him orders.
But, Willie, if we can get to the race, the pacemaker opening verse, I mean, he committed himself and went a very long way clear. For a moment or two, some of us thought there might be a really amazing result.
Yes, well, there was that moment when I decided that I had to go and collect him. He was about 8 lengths clear of me, and I realised that that horse has got some good form, and possibly his best form is in easy ground. So he was going to have to go and get him. And I thought at one couple of strides, oh dear, I might have overdone this. But from the 2 furlong mark, I could see I was going to win, and I was committed to go right way through with his run.
I was never worried.
He was pushing the back. Dick, we've had 2 great performances this season. Where to next? The King George just 2 weeks away. Will he go there? Does he
We'll
come
have
to
to see how he is after this race.
Ask the man,
But and see what Sheikh Hamdan says.
Perhaps I can bring Sheikh Hamdan in. Sheikh Hamdan, many congratulations from all of us on Channel 4.
Thank you very much.
For you, the best horse, no doubt, you've ever had, some of the best horse we've ever seen. Where does he go from here?
Well, actually, he's in all Group 1, and we hope to see him after the racing, and we will discuss that with the major and to see if he come after this race, all right? And we hope that to see him running soon.
Well, champions like this are so precious and so rare that they very rarely go through 3 seasons. He's in his 2nd season. Would you run him as a 3rd season as a 4-year-old?
Well, I don't think so. Sorry to say it, but I think if he done the best, I don't think so. That is need to keep him in training.
And what about the Triple Crown, the St. Ledger rather than the Arc? Would you think of that, Sheikh Hamdan?
Well, it is. Now he won the mile and a quarter, and mile and a half. That is mile and 3/4. I didn't know actually, but we have to see him after the summer.
Well, Sheikh Hamdan, Willie Carson, Dick Hearn, from all of us, thank you for a marvellous performance. And Steve Cawthon was listening to all that.
Yes, a man up with me now who wishes he was down in the winner's enclosure. But first, what do you think of this Nashwan, Steve Paul?
Well, I've always said that I respect him very much, and he's obviously shown today that he's not only a very good Derby winner, but you know, one of the highest class horses that's raced in Britain for a long time.
Now, you eventually finished third on Indian Skimmer. Disappointed, happy, or what?
Well, I wasn't so disappointed because I know the filly very well. The ground was just good today, which was okay for her. It certainly wouldn't hurt her. But unfortunately, you know, we've had such a dry spell that we haven't been able to train her on decent ground. We've been sort of fiddling around on all weathers and this and that. And she needs decent ground to actually do good work on, to free her up, you know, to get her action free. And she just wouldn't really stretch the last furlong and a half.
Yeah.
You know, she's run a good race and she's still in very, very good form. Done nothing wrong, you know, certainly hadn't harmed herself or anything. So when the ground comes, I think she'll be as good as ever.
Let's have a look at the last 2.5 furlongs of the race, because I think you'd enjoy seeing it again. And I know Pat Edery certainly would. This is a reverse angle. This is the shot from the other side.
Sure.
And this point, your stable companion opening versus in front, who's actually run a great race.
He has. He's not, I mean, he's a very nice horse. And, you know, we always thought he was a nice horse, but early on when we were holding him up, he was holding his breath. And so we decided to try and make more use of him, to get him to force him to breathe better. And it's worked. He's run better races both times.
You've given Indian Skimmer every chance, but she can't quicken. And this is a lovely sight of a top-class racehorse flowing across the ground.
Yeah. Well, when most people say they've got a wonder horse, I don't take much notice. But when Dick Hearn says it's the best horse he's ever had, you know, I listen to what he says.
Pat Edery said that Warning quite simply didn't stay and didn't handle the wet state of the ground. And that was Pat's words as he came in on Warning. Obviously didn't stay, but the winner stayed all right. Now, this is the horse who has now beaten 2 top-class horses in Indian Skimmer and Warning. And the $64,000 question, Old Vic against Nashwan. Now, yesterday we had a telepoll, and many people said 60% were in favour of Old Vic beating Nashwan. Now, what do you think now, having seen Nashwan do the business today?
Well, I just hope they have to wait a little while longer to find out if they're right or wrong.
Yeah.
You know, I think they're 2 very good horses, and I think that my horse is a very good horse on on a good track and decent ground, and obviously Nashwan, he's a very good horse. It'll be a great race for everybody to watch when they do eventually meet.
Would you fancy your chances?
Well, you know, I certainly, yeah, of course I'd fancy my chances.
Steve, thank you very much indeed for coming. We look forward to that clash of the Titans between the 2 3-year-olds. In the meantime, let's go to John McCrick.
Well, Nashwan is the 8th Derby winner to win the Eclipse as a 3-year-old, and he's only the 4th 3-year-old to win the 2,000 guineas, the Derby and the Eclipse. And you go back 50 years to Blue Peter, and the others were at the turn of the century, Diamond Jubilee and Flying Fox. And both of them won the Triple Crown, and Blue Peter would have won the Triple Crown, but the St Leger was cancelled that year because of the outbreak of war. And it would, of course, be tremendous if Nashwan would go to Doncaster in September. Well, 5 Eclipse winners have gone on to win the St Leger as 3-year-olds. The last was Fairway in 1928. If he goes for the King George, 10 winners of the Eclipse have won the King George, and the King George was only raced, of course, after the war, so it's a pretty good guide for the King George. And one factor, I think, in favour of Nashwan looking ahead is that he's had no trials. He's a comparatively fresh horse. His 3 races, the 2,000 guineas, the Ever-Ready Derby and the Eclipse, no trials in between, certainly. That will encourage a summer and autumn campaign. And the only disappointing news I've heard all day, which you must have heard with a lot of regret as well, was the news that Nashwan is unlikely to stay in training as a 4-year-old.